Really proud of our team. I told them I thought we showed some toughness that we had to have in the second half in order to win the game. Lamar Wilkerson was making a lot of tough shots, deep shots, and came back, took a lead after being up 8 at half fairly early in the second half. They had taken the lead, and some teams tend to panic there. We took a couple errant shots that led to transition buckets for them, but we stopped it. There are some that it snowballs, and when you've got guys like Wilkerson and Hoofner that can really score it, it makes it hard to stop it. And I just thought we looked like a mature team. We need to get the ball in bounds there late. It forced us to use our last timeout, and then we weren't able to get it in coming out of the timeout. But we didn't panic. We moved on to the next play. And congrats to Cam on 1,000 points. That's hard to do for anybody. So congrats to him. And I thought two guys in Chris Loof and Trey Green gave us really big lifts. Chris was terrific on both ends, in and out of ball screens quickly. He's a lob threat. And then on the other end, he was just kind of plugging things up for us. He's able to protect the rim. He's got great mobility. And, Cam and Rock both saw early that Trey Green was kind of feeling a little bit and kept getting in the ball, and we needed every bit of it. Questions?
You mentioned, bench unit, 37 points, off the bench for you guys tonight. And, Cam sort of plays starter minutes off the bench. So maybe, we do well on bench points because of him a lot of the time. But, 9 from Chris, 17 from Trey. And obviously good minutes out Jacob Johnson, Kamari Lands as well. How big was sort of that second unit against a physical team tonight? Yeah,
and we've kind of talked about that both as a staff but also to the players. Like every night it's not going to be your night because we've got a deep bench. We got enough guys that can go in there and help us. And so, you'd like to look down and say, when we've got these guys in the game, here's for sure what we're going to get. It just hasn't been that way, and that's okay. It's not always going to be your night. And tonight he was throwing that thing in the basket and made some big shots. And, you got to keep the main thing, and that's winning.
Trey, what makes that corner three, such a smooth shot for you? Because some guys get intimidated by that because there's not a backboard to fall back on in those spots.
Yeah, reps is definitely the main backbone to that corner three. We always has a joke. He jokes with me in practice a lot. That right corner where I shoot from, I make a lot of my shots right there. So every single time I shoot from there, he always comes to me, starts roughing me up. He's like, home base, baby.
And then, Trey, last 11 minutes of the half, Lamar Wilkerson doesn't score. You're the primary guarder for most of that time. What was the key in that stretch, to keep him, not just you, but really the whole team, to keep him off the scoreboard?
Well, he was 5 for 5 from 3 at one point. So our main goal was to make him do something else, make him drive, pass it out to someone else, make him drive, shoot a tough two. But definitely we wanted to run him off the three-point line.
Cam, talk about just the physicality of the game and sort of, Sam Houston's a team that likes to get up in you sort of when you have the ball in your hands. What do you have to do to adjust to that as the game goes on and figure out ways to exploit that?
You just have to stay poised, man. You're going to run into a lot of tough teams who play tough defense just like them, man. They very physical. You got to stay poised and take control of the game. And I feel like me, Rock, TG, basically everybody, that's how we played today, very mature. Yes, sir.
What did it feel like to have 1,000 points, go in today, with that, 18-footer, a very Cam Weston shot, to get that 1,000 points?
It felt great, man. Like, it's a dream come true. Amazing, man. Not a lot of people, reached this milestone, and I'm just thankful to God. My mom came down, drove down by herself. I'm thankful for her. My teammates, everybody put me in this position, whatnot, coaches. So it's just an amazing feeling, man. And I just say thank to everybody.
16 offensive rebounds tonight. How much of an emphasis was that for this game in particular?
Yeah, it was a big emphasis for both ends of the floor. At this time of year, you can't lose the possession count by a lot. And over the last couple of games, we've gotten out-rebounded, so that was a big thing we were emphasizing is, we were 5-1 coming into the game in conference games where we out-rebounded our opponent. And did it again tonight. So 6-1 in games where we've out-rebounded our opponent. And they're close games. You know, the game down at their place was JB blocking a shot at the buzzer, and tonight it's JB making a free throw to put us up 4 with 2 seconds to go in the game. And so, you know, we just said to our team, we out-rebounded by 8. If that's flipped, then you've probably got a flipped result. You know, that's a big swing. So, yeah, the glass was huge.
How do you go about defending the 3? That's kind of been a struggling point tonight, like Trey touched on, was Lamar getting hot from deep. Jaron Pierre earlier last week. You know, how do you kind of address the 3-point defense?
Yeah, I don't think it's a defensive breakdown. Sometimes that guy shot one from 26 feet, with somebody in him.
So
you know, there was some against going back to Jaron Pierre. There weren't many defensive lapses. I mean, there were some where if we almost gave him a high five on his release, and it's JB or it's Torrey. And so really we were talking about that at one point with Wilkerson. Like, we're going to call a timeout right now to talk about what? You know, we're up on him, and he's making a tough shot. Like, you got to try. And then Torrey climbs up in him, and he's clever. We've talked about that with our team, is particularly guys like him that are vets and they're older, savvy. You get your hand in, all of a sudden quickly his hands are up and he's getting the foul call. And so you back off of him and he makes shots. You crowd up and get a hand in and he gets foul calls. And so it's we've said this a bunch to our guys. There are a lot of perimeter players in this league that can go for 30. I mean, you think he's done it. JP's done it. Rock, the guys that can get 30. Well, then you start going down the list of the guys in our league. Wilkerson here at Sam Houston, Jaron Pierre, Matheny, McHenry, and Lander at Western. It's guy after guy that they're perimeter guys that, man, if they get going, think about the 2 guys at Kennesaw State. It's one after another that, man, you got to try to make every one of them hard. And don't duck your head if all of a sudden they've got 15 in the first half on 7 or 8 shots. You guys can do it too. And you just got to hang in there. And I think it was your point a minute ago, all of a sudden he doesn't score in the last 11 minutes. Man, if you do that, he's got 35 tonight. If he starts getting loose at the end, you just got to stay at it. He can score like a pro.
And to add on, you talk about how good this conference is. To beat teams once is tough enough. To beat them twice is an accomplishment. What are you learning about your team down the stretch as they're getting the second opportunity against these teams?
You know, that it's not going to be a complete reinvention of the wheel. You know, teams that are trying to search this time of year probably don't have much of a chance. Well, there isn't a lot of that. You know, there isn't kind of the bottom. There are teams that are at the bottom in the standings, but they're not bottom feeder teams, and they're good. And I think our guys respected them. You know, our prep was good yesterday. Our play was pretty good today. And you've got to play like that to beat them. You know, every game's they're close. You just don't see very many. There have been a couple shocking scores, some blowouts, but not very many, just because it's a really good league.
For Cam and Trey, Chris Loof to me seems like a pretty even-keeled guy, but today it seemed like he had a little extra edge to him. But have you seen him sort of develop that, you know, sort of over his time here and, you know, show it on the court today?
Just always working, man. Like I said, I always see Loof working. Like, there's never a time that he's not working. Like, even after practice, I'll just be sitting down in the locker room. We call it the little barbershop. It'd be a couple of us just sitting in the locker room talking and whatnot. And then we just see Loof come in just drenched, like, just still sweaty. Like, we think, like, we got done with practice about 2 hours ago, bro. What you doing? You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, he's just always working. You know, I always continue to just work. And it pays off and it shows. So, yeah.
Cam said it best, man. He's a hard worker. Piggyback off everything he said. I feel like he made the best points. Like, he's just a hard worker, man.
I think another point to go along with it, he doesn't duck his head because he's not a heavy minute guy or a starter. There are times where he comes out of the game and he hadn't done anything wrong. Mm-hmm. But it's easy to get frustrated when you're playing pretty good and you're coming out of the game. It's just when you got a guy like Esam who's gotten, you know, a dozen double-doubles this year and has gotten 50 in his career. It's not you did anything wrong. It's just it's a big old boy out there that's 25 years old. You know, he's been doing this for a long time, and I think that's what keeps Loof. That gives him the ability to keep performing. He doesn't get frustrated, duck his head, pout because he's not a 20, 25-minute guy every night.
Yeah, piggyback off that though, I do agree. Like, like Luva always like just takes up for the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that steps up to him, he gonna step right back to him. You know, so I believe that would make him better at that too. Yeah, for sure.
What's the timeline looking like for Kamari?
Don't know. Right now it's hard for anybody on any team when you're playing pretty well and you're winning to get back in there. They're guys that it's hard to crack the lineup when there's a substitution pattern and plays that these guys have been running for 2 or 3 months. It's different when you're watching them in practice as opposed to running them. And somebody's pushing you and shoving you, and you're a little frustrated because of no foul call or something like that. You still got to go execute the play, and we've called it, 100 times over the last 10 games, and you haven't run it. It's not that you're doing anything wrong. Similar to Louv, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just for every minute you're getting, that means he might not be. Well, he played pretty good, And when you're out there, that means Torrey's not. Well, Torrey's our second best rebounder right now, and provides a lot of threat at the rim on both ends. It's ball handling with him and Jalen. All right, well then it's JP. Well, he's our leading scorer. So wherever you look, it's like, man, that's hard to take those minutes right there, and at no fault of his own, but it just kind of is what it is. These guys are in a rhythm and a substitution pattern and playing well, so you just got to be careful not to disrupt that.